At the last UFC 268 tournament, Kamaru Usman once again defended the welterweight title, defeating Colby Covington by unanimous decision. It seems that Kamaru will remain champion for a long time, because in fact, he simply has no equal in this weight class now. Why can anyone take away Usman's belt? Hello fighters with MMA Iron Channel. In this video, we will talk about the shocking fights of Kamaru Usman. But before starting this video, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and put a like so that this video is seen by as many people as possible. Usman and his family lived in Arlington, Texas. Here he went to high school, where he began to engage in freestyle wrestling. Kamaru is a name that is quite difficult to pronounce for the average American, so Usman's coach called him Marty. This nickname stuck with Kamaru throughout his amateur career. In high school, Usman's record was 53-3, and he also finished third at the state wrestling championships. I started helping fighters train and win fights, and then I started participating in wrestling tournaments. I trained hard for that. And if you won a wrestling tournament, you'd probably get $1,500, maybe $2,000. These fighters that I trained with, they're going to go and win the fight, and they're going to make $50, $60, $70,000. So I thought, there's something wrong here. In Las Vegas, USA, another UFC 245 tournament was held. In its main event, Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington met. The welterweight title was at stake. The opponents spent almost no time on reconnaissance, and from the first minutes, went to the exchange. Usman several times made great attacks on the opponent's body. Covington aimed the opponent's head. In the second round, Colby shot below the belt, and the referee gave Usman a little breathing room. In the third round, Colby slowed down and Usman continued to attack Covington's body. In the middle of the round, the American went forward and hit a finger in the eye of Usman. The referee again stopped the meeting and called a doctor to the cage, but the Nigerian expressed his willingness to continue the meeting. The fourth round was a tough fight. The tension in the octagon grew, and the referee stopped the meeting to reason with the fighters. In the fifth round, Covington was less active. Usman did not slow down, and at the end of 5 minutes managed to first send his opponent to the knockdown, and then shook him a second time and rushed to finish. As a result, the referee was forced to stop the meeting and fix the early victory of Usman. Thus, Kamaru defended the title of champion in the welterweight division. These guys trained in the same gym for a long time and were real friends. At the moment, they are both on top and have been forced to fight each other. To the surprise of many, the first round began with dominance from Burns. He immediately began to squeeze Kamaru and in the first minute dropped him with a precise right hook. No one had previously been able to knock down Usman. Naturally, Gilbert immediately decided to finish off his opponent. He was too heavily charged to knock out, and a little later it played a cruel joke on him. But he still did well for the rest of the round, and even took it away in my opinion. In the corner, Kamaru repeated the command jab over and over again, and he learned that well. From the first seconds he began to use his accurate jab, and the course of the fight changed a lot. Meanwhile, Gilbert continued to charge for one hit. In the middle of the round, the champion took out Burns with the right straight and continued to break in with his combinations. And at the end of the stretch he returned the favor, dropping Gilbert with a jab. Interest is growing. The champion entered the third period as confident as ever. He changed the strut and dropped a self-guided bomb in the form of a right jab on Burns. Well, then a tough finish and another knockout from Kamaru Usman. He stopped a top opponent and successfully silenced all critics. UFC welterweight champion Usman kindly gave Masvidal a chance for a rematch. Kamaru was her undisputed favorite. Everyone remembered how he defeated Masvidal in the first fight. Many expected that this time the picture would be repeated. But surprisingly, the Nigerian-American didn't get into the fight. He looked good in Masvidal's territory as well, working in the rack. In the first half of the first round, Kamaru scored several accurate shots from the right. When Jorge tried to throw out the trademark knee kick in the jump, Usman reacted with lightning speed and made a gorgeous shot. To Jorge's credit, he defended well on the ground and harassed Usman with nasty elbow strikes. Soon the opponents returned to the rack. Usman again scored a great shot on the right. And then he also had a jab, which Kamaru also has destructive power. Masvidal switched to low kicks, clearly trying to harm the maneuverability of his opponent. At the end of the first round, Jorge for some reason threw up his hands victoriously, apparently making it clear that his confidence hadn't gone away after a botched 5 minutes. He tried to demonstrate the same confidence at the start of the second round. Jorge smiled in the face of his opponent, signaling that the missed blows were useless to him. Moments after one of these episodes, Usman delivered a sumptuous and heavy blow to Masvidal's jaw from the right. Jorge immediately fell on the canvas, and the champion managed to convey a couple more hammer fists to an unarmed target. The long-awaited UFC 268 tournament took place in New York. The main event of the evening was a rematch between welterweight champion Kamaru Usman and a daring challenger, Colby Covington. Almost the entire first round was dictated by Kamaru Usman. He confidently interrupted his opponent in the rack, exerted constant pressure, and generally looked much more preferable than Colby. In the second round, Kamaru continued to increase his advantage. Periodically, Colby tried to throw good ones, but still Usman looked much more confident. At the end of the round, Kamaru managed to shake Covington twice, but still he was able to survive the onslaught and endure until the end of the segment. It seemed that now Kamaru would take his, however, Covington was not going to give up. At some point, he was able to turn the tide of the fight and more often began to hit the opponent. It seemed that Usman himself did not understand how Colby managed to turn this game around. The fourth period went in Covington's favor. He threw a good series of punches, hit more often, and generally looked a little more confident than his opponent. Everything was to be finally decided in the fifth round. Realizing that he had nothing to lose, Colby, as if forgetting about the defense, rushed into battle and repeatedly ran into Usman's accurate counterattacks. Kamaru increased his advantage and, as a result, taking the final stretch of the fight, did not allow the judges to doubt his victory. In the co-main event of the UFC 235 tournament, held in Las Vegas, Nevada, USA, a welterweight title fight took place between champion Tyron Woodley and number 2 rating Kamaru Usman. The first 5 minutes was not too rich in events and was remembered only for one successful takedown, performed by Usman. All of Kamaru's attacking actions were short shots in the stalls and from the clinch at the net, which did not cause any visible damage to the champion. In the second period of the fight, Usman continued to rely on the fight, but this time his dominance in this component was more pronounced. Kamaru cut the champion with an elbow kick from the clinch, and then transferred to the floor of the cage, where he held until the end of the round. Surprisingly, Woodley, an experienced and physically strong wrestler, could not do anything against his opponent in the stalls. In the third round, Usman never managed to get Woodley to the ground. However, the challenger successfully used the manner of the champion to retreat to the edge of the octagon. Kamaru pressed the chosen to the net and worked with weighty hooks on the body. Woodley could not cope with the pressure and physical power of his opponent, looking passive and indecisive. Woodley spent almost the entire fourth 5 minutes in a supine position, but did not allow Usman to work effectively from the top, so the referee was forced to raise the fighters to the rack, which, however, did not help Tyron. Usman managed to shake the champion in the rack by holding him against the net. Woodley tried to hit back, but the challenger was much more accurate, working hooks, uppercuts, and knees. Realizing the scale of the tragedy, Woodley's coaches resorted to psychological pumping of the champion at halftime before the final round. But Tyron again looked passive and lay under Usman for almost the entire 5 minutes, as follows from the drawing of the fight. Nigerian Nightmare won with a crushing score and replaced Woodley as UFC welterweight champion.